Hey guys, what's up? This is Dan Weinberger here, CEO of Morpheus.Network, here again with a special guest. Excited to be talking today to David Schwartz, the Litecoin Foundation Project Director. David, how you doing today, sir?
Good. How's it going, Dan?
It's going really good, It's a Friday here, so, a little more of a relaxed sort of day. Happy to be talking to you, obviously, and excited about that. So not so relaxed, but... So those who don't know, about Morpheus.Network, our project, we're an automated supply chain platform. We're like a middleware provider connecting all these disjointed parts of supply chain, emerging technologies such as blockchain and IoT and machine learning, also marrying in the legacy technologies such as current ERP systems. We're excited to show a workflow today. So David, I wanted you to maybe talk about yourself a little bit, introduce the Litecoin Foundation, and a little information about that as well.
Yeah, sure. So name's David Schwartz. I'm the project director for the Litecoin Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization created specifically for promoting the awareness and adoption of Litecoin, the decentralized cryptocurrency. Litecoin Foundation's been stepping up, especially in 2019, on pushing for mainstream awareness and adoption, and we believe projects like the one that we're doing right now with Morpheus.Network would be a great way of doing that. We branch into areas that perhaps people didn't even realize they could utilize or accept Litecoin in. And we're really excited to see how intercontinental use of cryptocurrencies, and specifically Bitcoin and Litecoin and others, can be utilized to make it more efficient, make it less expensive, and just make it all around better for everybody.
That's awesome, David. Thank you for that. It's a lot of people have that sort of view that in the long run, that's what cryptocurrency and Litecoin and Bitcoin, how it should be used. But we're going to, show people today with the platform and demonstrate is actually a real world use case of leveraging Litecoin as well as Bitcoin within a payment conversion as a trigger within an automated supply chain workflow. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'll share my screen for you, load up the platform, and kind of take you through a workflow as described. So here we have the regular dashboard of the platform. I'm going to start up a workflow. As we have to do with every contract, we have to put in the name of the workflow itself, put in any random date for this specific demonstration. Now we're going to load in our information here. This is for our buyer and our seller, where the goods are being shipped from and to, basically. You see the commodity over here as well. You have a place for HS codes, your harmonized codes, which figure out your duties and taxes. This is basically all information you need for your contract itself. Now we're going to set up the actual automated workflow to get the shipment sent off, as well as the payments automated throughout as well. We're going to use a QR code scan. It's generated by the platform. Basically, a QR code which is scanned triggers the next objective in your workflow. We're going to set up our whole workflow here, including the export documents for a Canada-US cross-border shipment, as well as a crypto-to-crypto payment. For this demonstration, as we mentioned, we're going to use Litecoin converted into Bitcoin to be received on the other end. What's interesting about this is we have that QR code, which we're going to configure right now, send it off to the proper party. When that is scanned, whether that's from a warehouse floor, wherever that is, that triggers the next objective in this workflow. So we're going to save that over here. Now we're going to continue on with our documentation over here. This is setting up the actual export docs, your bill of lading, your pro forma invoice. It's to be shared with all the parties down the supply chain. And once these documents are generated, they're actually stored and shared from IPFS. So we're actually bringing in another blockchain system as well for data storage as a part of this workflow. So putting in all our proper pertinent information, where the documents will be sent off to and shared to. All the information is, as you can see, universal from the original contract setup as well. So it doesn't take that much more information to put in. Now we have that configured. We can move over to our crypto-to-crypto payment, as we mentioned. We're going to add in some simple terms over here. This will be the initial payment of this workflow. And we'll select our source currency as well, as we mentioned, which will be Litecoin, and being converted to Bitcoin as well. So the platform itself actually handles the conversion. It handles any of the fees associated as well. You're going to see as well as we set it up through the wallet in the back end, that it's actually the QR code scan that's going to send off this first payment as well. So So you can see we've set it all up. We have this pay-in address, and that's the pay-in address you use when sending off the Litecoin, which will automatically convert the funds into Bitcoin to be received by the Bitcoin wallet. So we'll continue to configure this workflow, have another QR code scan as well. This is actually after that payment is made and the shipment is completed, we can have the receiver scan the QR of that actual item on the physical item itself to send off the final payment. This is basically confirmation. They've received the goods themselves and they're willing to pay that, that end amount. And once again, we have a pay-in address as well, all configured through the platform. Now everything's configured, so we can actually start up this workflow. Take a look at how it's sort of progressing. First thing is that QR code scan that's generated and shared. So we actually go into our email over here, scan this QR, and we can actually scan it or actually activate the link and upload a document. So for this specific scan, we're going to label it as a shipment. And we can store up another doc as well, which is also stored on IPFS as a part of the workflow. We're going to show all this in the digital footprint afterwards as well, which is the history of the entire shipment. Now we have our export documentation, which is configured because we have that verification there of that QR code scan. And then the export docs as well are sent off. We can go back into the email that it's sent off to and shared to. We have our bill of lading and our performa invoice. We can take a quick look at these as well. This is clean documentation. We configure these with our partners, Customs Direct. So we've run many shipments across the border with them, and it basically generated by the system itself makes it a whole automated sort of process, makes it a lot easier that way. So, and this is actually setting off that payment here with Litecoin, configure it through the wallet on the back end, putting the amount as well as that pay-in address that we saw earlier as well. Got to put in our password. Make sure we configure that properly. Don't want to send the money to the wrong place. The money's been sent. You can see the hash there of that. So the value in the wallet has changed based on that as well. And we'll go back to the progress of the workflow. And that payment is just confirming. Sending off right now through the system, getting that confirmation. Believe me, this is a lot faster than any bank wire transfer or any sort of payment with people walking into banks, and that's it. It has completed that first payment. And now that that's completed, that payment actually triggers the next step, which is generating that QR code. And that QR code is to be included with the shipment itself. We're going to activate it on our end here. This is the completion of the shipment, which will activate that final payment as well, that final conversion payment of Litecoin to Bitcoin as a part of this automated workflow. This is us with the QR code scan, pushing that through, that it's been delivered. You can submit a document as well, such as proof of delivery with that, and that's as well stored on IPFS and hashed within the digital footprint. And then we have that verification completed as well. Perfect. And that's going to trigger off the crypto to crypto payment and that final payment as well. So that's actually been completed too. And now we take a look at our completed workflow. All the steps have been completed through. So we get to look at the history of this, how it's hashed on chain. So in the future, if we have to look back on what has happened, you can look back on the Ethereum, an Etherscan or whatever blockchain viewer is your preference. You look back at the information, we see all the completed objectives within that workflow itself, the QR code scans, the crypto to crypto payment conversions and all that. And we can actually look back as well. We'll go back to the actual digital footprint now. Shows us all the different events that progressed all the way across the supply chain specifically. This is the latitude and longitude of the scans, the documents stored on IPFS with the links built in right there so you can see your BOL or your performa. This is actually the proof of the different payments as well, the pay-in addresses, all the information. And then those latitude and longitudes of all those QR code scans are actually hashed and also stored and put on a map for sort of easy viewing. Here's the documents stored on IPFS as well as a part of those scans. That could be, once, like we said before, either a proof of delivery or even a picture for insurance purposes. Then we can look at the Litecoin Blockchain Explorer as well and take a look at our specific transaction. And we can see it over here, pointing out specifically that one there that was completed. completed successfully, initiated through the platform as well, sent all the way across the world, wherever your supply chain takes you, basically. The magic of cryptocurrency, basically. So really fantastic how that completes, and you have that visualization. And that's something that the banking system actually cannot show you at all, is the confirmation of receiving the money on the other end transparently. So you can actually see that they've actually received the funds, as opposed to just, taking their word for it, or them receiving the funds and not telling you and having no visibility of that. So we see that on the blockchain explorer for Bitcoin as well, that payment being received on the other end with the value. So once again, having that, transparent payment, huge within, the world of global trade, obviously. So.
Just to reiterate, that was a real world live transaction with a real world live company, correct?
Correct, most definitely. That is exactly right. Here, let's see. Yeah, so those documents generated that you saw there, that's the actual BOL and Performa invoice generated and supplied to Customs Direct, who is the customs broker. So those went all the way across the border. What's awesome about it is there's 3 different flows within every supply chain, right? You have the flow of the funds themselves, the flow of the physical goods, and the flow of the documents. So in that one simple workflow, we can, obviously store it on chain as well, have all those documents. The flow of the documents is visible and shareable all the way around. We have the actual QR code scans on the physical goods themselves. You have the flow of the physical goods, and the flow of money, obviously, as well. When you have those, transparent payments with Litecoin to Bitcoin hashed on chain. So having that all visible on chain is just, it's revolutionary in the world of global trade, which didn't exist in the past, where a lot of trust issues came up, and then slowdowns with being able to supply these documents and all that as well. So.
Yep. So you're talking about a fraction of the time at a fraction of the cost, with all the benefits and more than you would have gotten on a traditional payment and tracking system. Exactly.
And, this system itself, that supply chain we showed is just a simple shipment. But once again, with our modular approach, being able to drag and drop, different functionalities. If, let's say, a company needed IoT, they needed some sort of, temperature gauge or something like that within the shipment itself, it's a pharmaceutical, whatever it is, that could be brought back and hashed as a part of the digital footprint as well. So you get the history of any type of shipment, whatever the use case is specifically, and having something like a Litecoin payment as a part of it just makes perfect sense for that. Like you said, in a flash, you get that payment across and you get that visibility of the money as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. So that's basically it for today, David. I want to thank you so much for, taking the time on a Friday. I know you've had a very busy day and a very busy week. So always great talking to you. And thank you again.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, enjoy yourself. And everybody who's watching, thank you for taking the time. Have a great day, guys.